Welcome to another episode of the Happy Hour. I'm your host, Dr. Elia, and every week we bring you incredible stories of personal resilience, overcoming great odds, living a great life. We bring you experts from in the field of positive psychology, experts in happiness, but really experts in the field of life, the ultimate university. And as I say, we're all graduates from the University of Adversity. So we all get the same degree in some way or another. We're all in the same school, and nobody gets out of this world unscathed. So most of us, we have our ups and downs. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you Dr. Maria Fotiadou. Her and I lectured together at a conference in London many years ago, and she's one of the most positive, delightful, happiness experts. She's a lecturer at the University of Westminster in London. She's an author, a public speaker, a positive psychologist who empowers others to live their best lives. Dr. Maria, welcome to the show.
Hello from me, and thank you so much for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here, and it was always a pleasure to work with you, Elia, and thank you so much for having me in your show.
You're welcome. Are you in London or are you in Greece?
I'm in Greece. I have like a break of a month, and I'm gonna visit the Greek islands so I can get like some energy and vitamin D. That happiness is very vital for our happiness. And then I'm going back to London.
So if you're hearing this right, my fellow listeners, the key to happiness are the Greek islands. That's the bottom line.
Greek islands
Go to the Greek islands for a week or two. Yes, your batteries are full. Dr. Maria, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get started, and how did you get interested in this field?
Yes, after I finished school, I thought I was always like I wanted to to make people happy since a very young age. I remember myself like 5, 6 years old. I was thinking that, I know how to give comfort and like to say a few words to people to make them feel better. So after school, I was just searching to see what's the best for me. And I studied psychology. And then I wanted to work with children. But then I thought, okay, maybe I should actually pick a field that I can work with everybody without age restrictions. And I chose health psychology. And then the path, I was working for Coventry University, and I was doing my PhD. And then they were doing work in positive well-being, quality of life, and positive aspects of our personality. And I thought, okay, this is for me. And before my PhD, I chose like optimism, to work like on positive emotions and how people actually who are more optimistic cope better in life. And then this actually took me to the positive psychology field, and I started actually working more on this, on many other topics around positive psychology and happiness as well.
Thank you. A lot of people that go into psychology, especially when they go all the way to get their PhDs, at least at my school, you could see that at least half of them, if not maybe 3/4 out of the people that I got my PhD together, were really got into the field of psychology because they wanted to heal something within themselves, to understand themselves better, to gain greater self-awareness, and maybe overcome. Did that play any role in your life? And there are a few psychologists that actually they're good, they're pretty healthy, and the other one is help other people. So, or did you have a little bit of both?
Obviously, nobody is perfect. So I wanted to learn more about me, about others, about human behavior. So this was vital for me. This was really important. So this was like, yes, you're right. It was a combination. But it was more like there was like something inside me telling me that sometimes, for example, I was watching television, the news as a child when my parents were watching, and I will say, the news usually play sad stories and really, negativity is there. And I thought, okay, I can help these people. Somehow I knew there was something, a force inside me telling me that you can actually help. There is something that you can tell people, that please don't give up and continue. I mean, you can find strength. There must be a way to find strength and build people stronger. So this was the first thing and main thing for me, to follow psychology. But obviously, it helped me throughout my life, because when I was younger, I fell into depression.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, before I started psychology, when I was a teenager, and this helped me to overcome quite a lot of negative emotions and pessimism in my mind. So maybe I didn't realize it back then, that it wasn't maybe the first thing that made me choose psychology, but it helped me quite a lot to understand myself and get rid of some characteristics that they were part of my character, or that I built them throughout my life, that I didn't really need them. I was always questioning why some people actually can cope better than others. Where do they find this strength? So this question was actually very important in my mind while I was studying psychology. And obviously, once you study psychology, you don't know everything. It's like a journey. You need to constantly read in your life when you're a psychologist. And I built this characteristics. I adopted new behaviors and new habits in order to build myself stronger, let's say. And this is what I teach other people to do as well.
I love that, the fact that you said it's a journey, and not just getting psychology, it's a journey. Our whole life is a journey. And
Yes.
far too many people, look to get to the destination. And when they get to the destination, then I'll be happy. So it's all like, when that happens, then this will happen. But the reality
Yeah.
is that there's great joy in the journey, even when we're in our dark side, because sometimes the greatest lessons we discover happens when we actually have to face some of the more difficult aspects in our lives. My experience of you, just when I saw you on stage, when we spoke, is that you're a being of light, and that's something that comes from the inside. It's something that I think you were like innately, since you were a little girl, you wanted to help other people, and it shows in your face, it shows in your words, it shows in your countenance, it just shows in the way you treat other people. Very gentle, very positive, very loving. Um, what have you found to be like the two or three keys for personal happiness as a positive psychologist in working with people?
Thank you very much for all these words. And
No,
I
it's the
really
truth. I mean,
appreciate
that's my
your
experience of you.
words.
That's. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I have to
Thank
remind
you so
people
much.
that I got gray hair. I don't need to pay anybody compliments. If I say something, I mean it. So it's like,
Thank you.
yeah, it's like
I know you're very genuine as
you, your smile. You emanate that. It comes natural. It's not something that you have to like really try. But you work with so many people. You've lectured in front of thousands of people over the years. Surely you have either a methodology or some characteristics that even you've incorporated yourself in your own personal life that have brought you this positivity. So can you share some of those with our audience?
Yes, of course. First of all, it's a choice. Happiness is a choice. So I made the choice that the other way wasn't helping me, wasn't getting me anywhere. I know that through diversity and through difficult times, you can actually build yourself and you can find meaning in your life. You can question yourself, you can question the world in general, you can make changes. So number one is to never remain the same, never, because what we believe, what we actually do every day, we think that this is the only way. No, this is like we learn every day. So be open to new ways, and there are always new ways. And be ready to change and become better every day. So as I said, that happiness is a choice. So the other way doesn't really help us to go anywhere. I mean, sometimes we feel if we don't decide that we need to continue fighting or to continue building, there's no way out of. I mean, it will take us longer, let's say, to build like what we want. So once we choose happiness, we can find actually multiple ways to make it happen. And always, I mean, ask other people. We don't really know everything in life, so don't be afraid to ask other people for help, for advice, or observe other people. And something that I think it's very important. Many people think that happiness is something like when I have more money, when I have like
Right.
everything, like material things, when I have the perfect like relationships, when I have everything, as you said, then I will be happy. Happiness is not like perfection. Happiness is calmness. Happiness is like feeling gratitude. Happiness is like having like important people that make simple things in life that give us meaning, and people who give us meaning as well. Happiness is love. Happiness is like feeling safe
Hmm.
and having a home, having a job that we help other people through that. Any type of job, it doesn't have to be like psychology or anything specific. I mean,
But if it's
um,
purposeful, I think that in my experience is when people do something that adds value to themselves and to the value to others, uh, and the closer
yes.
they're aligned to their purpose, the more they're happy. One of the things that I liked about what you said has to do with learning. And one of my
Mhm.
favorite stories is like Michelangelo, obviously, one of the fathers of the Renaissance with Leonardo da Vinci. I mean, they were like almost gods, right? They at the end of his life. So this is after the Sistine Chapel. This is after David. This is like, he's the master of masters. They asked him, they said, in an interview, Master, tell us something that you know for sure. He goes, the only thing I know is that I'm still learning. And I think to myself,
Mhm.
if Michelangelo says, I'm still learning at the end of his life, wow, what does that mean for the rest of us?
Mhm.
And when you said there's not just one path to find happiness, be open, have an open mind. My youngest son Dimitri is just finishing up his degree actually in psychology, and I had nothing to do with that. He chose that on his own.
Oh,
Um,
very nice.
he and I have conversations. Of course, I got my PhD like over 30 years ago. So the things that he brings up to me and the latest that's like, is fascinating. Like he's actually teaching me. This is a funny thing. He goes, Dad, did you know this and this? And I'm like, nope. Like, oh, it's to be a lifelong learner. I think that
Mhm.
that contributes because when we're learning, I think we are happier when we learn something new, when we apply it to in our lives, and then we
Mhm.
see the changes. So, why do you think people? I know you said happiness is a choice, but it's also a skill set. Why do so many people, though, in this world struggle um, to find,
Um,
especially the long-lasting happiness? I'm not talking about some temporary, jump in
mhm.
our mood in a positive scale, but overall, why do you think people struggle so much? And this is not an American thing. It's not a British thing. It's not a Greek thing. It's global.
Mhm. It's global, you're right. I think I will say that we are conditioned to value more like to value negativity as the normal like way of life.
Mm,
I believe that, and there are ways. I mean, people will follow a routine, and part of the routine will be like, let's watch the news, let's argue with other people, let's be like, let's moan about things that not they're not going well. We need to separate things that come from the environment that we cannot change, and there are a few, like the economy.
of
Many people
course.
struggle with that, and this is acceptable, of course. We cannot blame people, oh, it's your fault, because people have to work quite a lot of hours and to pay bills, and this is something that happens, in many countries. But we can control. There are things that we can control,
So I
like
think
as
this
I
is,
said.
yeah, just one second. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good point. It's like what is within our control and what's without our control. The weather,
Yes.
the economy, geopolitical stuff, wars, and so on. There are a lot of things that are big stuff, really. The
Mm-hmm.
environment that are beyond our control. And
Mm-hmm.
I think when we feel out of control, that definitely impacts us in a negative way because we just. But what things do we control? I think that's really important. Number one is our attitude. How do we feel
Exactly.
about things? How do we not react to what's happening from the outside, but how do we choose to act, which is different?
Exactly. When we appreciate what we have in life, then we can build more in life. This is how most of the people start. This is the big athletes. I mean, Olympics were. on recently, and this is how they start with one step, with an idea. So, and appreciation and love in what we do. And appreciation of what we have, like we have our family, or we have, as I said, we live in a nice place. We have food in our plate, somewhere to sleep. We have a friend to talk to. We have the ability to choose what to read, what we watch. And something that I have to say, because I mentioned the news, that is a big issue, that when I talk to people, they say that, yeah, I follow that because I need to know what's happening. And I said, this is not helpful to you, and you don't help others in that way, but we can choose to offer like whatever we have in our into world to others, to speak like with politeness to other people. This is how we make the world, our world, and other people better. And it's not only the news, I have to say, because with all this Netflix, and I mean, I watch Netflix, I'm not saying, and other places as well, and social media as well, we can see an increase in violent films and series as well. I can see that with younger people that I talk with them, and they are addicted to this type of programs. And I will say I have met, and there is research that says that when we watch this is like part of our hobbies to watch this type of films or hobbies. They mess with our minds. And there are like findings that shows elevated stress and anxiety, especially anxiety. So we have to watch this type of habits as well that we employ. Maybe we need to find things that can relax our minds, and we can find comfort and laughter as well. So habits are very important as well.
And these habits that we have, are they increasing the positivity, the love, the kindness in our lives, or is it darkening our spirit? I guess to me, I see it almost like a light switch, it goes a little brighter, 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 darker, darker, darker. And I think we need from time to time to take an assessment of how we live our lives. There's a loneliness epidemic, I think, even still in the post-pandemic world. So I think the social connectivity, I'm not talking about social media, I'm talking about connecting with another human being like I say, your smartphone can't give you a hug, can't give you a kiss. It's great in a lot of other ways. And I'm kind of semi-addicted to my phone, but I'm doing better to like pull back from the phone. There's a lot of things that it does. It's a wonderful companion in a lot of ways, but it never replaces the human contact. It never replaces human connectivity. So how can we balance, obviously there's tons of information coming in. How can we consciously and mindfully turn down the volume of the negativity that comes from media, television, and so on, and choose something to at least balance a little bit between the two? I mean, I do that. I don't watch very much TV except for shows that I personally like. I'd never watch the news because it's always like breaking news, and it's always breaking news bad. It's breaking bad in some way.
Yes.
Right. Apps that helps you to meditate, to get peaceful, to disconnect, to be out in nature. There are a lot of things that enhance our happiness and our wellness, but all of these come back to choice. And before we make a choice, it comes back to awareness. So, Dr. Maria, you talked about some habits are great, by the way, and keep doing those habits that enhance the quality of your life. But also be honest with yourself and say, is this really impacting me in a positive light? Yes or no?
Yes, this is a good question actually to ask ourselves. Because we got used to something, it doesn't mean that it can be helpful in the long term. I always say to people, find something, even every day, even 5 minutes to give to yourself. Is it like a nice shower, or to cook something for yourself, something healthy? To speak to somebody that you haven't spoken to for a long time, or to just relax and do something different than what's in television or being on your mobile. I do that as well. I'm not saying because my work is there, my connections, and because I live away from Greece, I connect with people from Greece, with my family. So I'm not saying that it's all negative, as you said, but break these habits. give something to yourself away from what you normally do every day. Go to have a walk and eat something healthy. This is important as well.
Dr. Mary, believe it
And
or not, our time is up. It goes by so
wow.
fast. I know. Thank you for your happiness hacks in some ways, and for the tips that you gave us. I wish you a great time in the Greek islands. Not that you can't have a, it's a guarantee you're gonna have a great time. Fill up your batteries so you can come back to London and have another great year lecturing and helping other people. Thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me here. And good luck and all the best with your show. It's really important and amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariam. Thank you. I'm really grateful to have talked to Dr. Maria Fotiadou, a positive psychologist. I love some of the things that she said. I always look at my guests, I'm like, what, from what she said or he said, what can I implement in my life today? And my goal every single episode and every single interview is to take one thing out of that interview that I can incorporate in my life. In this particular case, I think the idea of taking a look at our habits, because our habits are second nature, positive habits, negative habits, and maybe once in a while take an assessment and said, is this really blessing my life? Is this habit enhancing my connection with other people? Is this bringing me more peace, more happiness, more love, more kindness to myself and to others? But if the answer is no, and this takes some courage actually to own up to it and say, you know what, I don't really think this is working. I started doing this like years ago and somehow it became second nature, but it's no longer serving me. And maybe it was serving me, when I first got started and created this habit, but it's no longer my friend. So make the courageous decision and make an adjustment. I call it like a pivot. Like, okay, if this isn't helping me, let me pivot a little bit and become a navigator through life and replace it with something more positive and more uplifting. So I hope you do that. I can't wait to see you next week. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for all your love and support. I really appreciate it. See you next week.